Welcome back to Naked and Unashamed, where we strive to make sure that married couples and seriously dating couples are thriving in their relationship, that they're clothed in love, but watch this, babe, naked in truth.
Oh, I agree. We are so passionate about helping married couples stay married.
Yes, I'm Dr. Stacy L. Spencer.
And I'm Rhonda Spencer.
And today's topic is one every couple needs, right? How to divorce-proof your marriage. Baby, it seems like here lately, I've been so heartbroken to hear a few couples throwing in the towel. I'm getting a divorce. I saw somebody in the gym. I saw somebody else on social media proclaiming that they're getting a divorce. And the truth of the matter is that people in church are getting divorced almost at an equal rate as people outside the church or as non-believers. And I want to put a stop to that. I want to help some couples, men, tonight. And so tonight we're going to help you to talk about how to divorce-proof your marriage. It's not just about avoiding divorce. It's about building a marriage that thrives through the storms, transitions, and the temptations, and you make it. That's what we want to see, guys. We want to see y'all make it. So get ready. I need you to tag some of your seriously dating couples, tag some married couple friends. No matter if you've been dating for 6 months or married 60 years, tag them, text them, tell them we are on. And we'll be back in about 5 seconds for Naked and Unashamed podcast.
We made it through the test. Strength and need, love and sex.
Greetings, everybody. We are excited to tell you about the conference that's coming up, Love Without Limits. It's June 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We get to partner with Apostle Stacy Spencer, Lady Rhonda Spencer, some other magnificent couples. And baby, what's our session going to be about?
Our session is about healing from past wounds, how God took our ugly story and now we get to testify about his glory. And now I'm just so thankful that we get to talk about how we are healthy and thriving in marriage.
Yeah, and we went through some things that could have torn others apart, but it's brought us closer together. It's the reason we're so passionate about marriage ministry and relationships, because we know that family is the fix, and the fix starts right here between us. So we're excited. Love Without Limits, June 7th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
What's
the website is nakedandunashamedSLS.com. Please go. Please sign up. You're going to have a magnificent, awesome time. I can't wait to get there.
Because we understand your relationship, your marriage is your greatest investment.
So let's talk about this. We're trying to divorce-proof your marriage. There are many times when couples treat their marriage like a subscription and not a covenant contract. You know, with the subscription, it's easy to get out of.
You cancel anytime.
You can cancel at any time. You're not happy with it anymore. So let's void out, the rest of the subscription. But with a covenant contract, that's exactly what it is. It's a covenant that's made between two people who love each other.
It's a lifetime commitment.
Yes, and love God and are striving to stay married.
Malachi 2:14 says that the Lord is witness between you and the wife of your youth. Wow. She's your partner, the wife of your marriage covenant. That's serious business. This ain't no trial run, right? I'm guilty now. I'll get on some subscriptions and you got 7 days before, you got a trial run. And I try to cut it off before the payment kicks in. But when it comes to marriage, the payment starts the day you say, I do.
No, the payment starts when you decide that you want to spend your life together.
The payment starts when you say, I do. Isn't that when you decide? When
you're
at the altar and you're like, I'm making a covenant commitment for better or for worse,
right,
sickness and in health, till death do us
part. Right.
That is a life commitment. Almost, I don't almost say blood in, blood out, but when you make, and so it's very important that when you're dating and you're vetting the person that you're wanting to spend the rest of your life with, that's what dating should allow you to do, to look into the heart and soul of that person, to say, is this a person I can spend the rest of my life with? this ain't like grade school. Will you go with me? Do you like me? Yes or no? This is, can we be together for the rest of our life? So what is the difference between a contract and a covenant?
The difference between a contract and a covenant is, like I said before, a contract is that you can sign on the dotted line, but it may be for a limited time. It may be for as long as you want this product. But a covenant relationship, a covenant is between two individuals who plan to stay married through thick and thin.
It's a commitment.
Yes, it's definitely a commitment.
It's a lifelong commitment. It is a connection. It is something that cannot easily be undone. Jesus says, what God brings together, let no man or woman tear asunder. God hates divorce. And so we should really measure twice and cut once before we get into a covenant relationship. And when you get in a covenant relationship, you should have regular checkups with each other. Are we keeping our promises? You need to ask each other, are we keeping our promises? Are we showing up for each other emotionally, spiritually, and physically? Those are the kind of deep questions we need to ask. I think what happens over time is that couples tend to drift away from one another. It doesn't just happen overnight. Most divorces don't start in the bedroom. They start with emotional distance.
And I would agree, you can't be physically intimate if you're emotionally guarded. So if you're holding all of your emotions in, you're not talking with your spouse when things don't feel right or when things are not right, and you're just guarding them, then that's going to limit you to be physically intimate with your spouse.
The sooner y'all can start talking about real stuff with each other, the better it's going to be.
Oh, definitely.
I think too many times, babe, in marriage, in relationships, people swallow stuff when they should speak up.
I agree.
I think we've said it on this podcast or somewhere else, that the average person only shares 90% of what they're thinking, and they withhold the 10. They swallow it. But in a healthy relationship, you're able to share 100% what it is you're feeling. Instead of bottling it up, you can say, this hurt me, or I'm feeling disconnected. Stop bottling it up. Talk, have real conversations, loving conversation to say, baby, this hurt me. An offense is something that we often don't articulate, and we swallow it. And what happens is, over time, the heart begins to grow cold to the point where there's no embers burning in your hearts for one another because you have allowed those offenses to make your heart turn cold.
I agree. And then you have to listen without, defensiveness. Listen without trying to respond to what your spouse is saying to you. Listen with a loving heart and have, as we've talked before, those non-violent, communication times when things are not right, where you're expressing that you feel safe or you don't feel safe. But just to put a pause there have been so many couples that we've talked to that's like, I don't say what I need to say because I'm not ready for that person's reaction. And I think what comes with maturity and learning each other is that we learn to take our ego out and make the issue that's on the table the issue and not the person.
Yeah. We have to focus on the issue and make that the thing that both people focus on. Oftentimes when we start conversations with you always, you, it feels like an attack. But when you can own your feelings and you can say, I feel that, or I observe this. When you use I language, it allows you to own your emotions and for the other person not to feel like they're being under attack.
Yeah.
So here's what we want y'all to do. Every week, you should take a chill and a pause for 20 minutes. And you need to ask each other with the phones off,
Okay.
TV off, turn the TV off, turn the TV off. and ask what made you feel loved this week.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, let's just practice this in front of everybody right now. Babe, what made you feel loved this week?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things that made me feel loved this week. But one of the things was I was headed out to work. We both were leaving it probably within 5 minutes of each other. And I had put a load of sheets in the washing machine. And all day long, I was like, oh, I got to get back home, to put these sheets in the dryer so that I can make up the bed. So tonight we get in, a fresh smelling bed. I like to change the sheets.
In between the sheets.
In between the sheets. So I like to change the sheets often. So when I got home, there wasn't anything in the dryer. There wasn't anything in the washing machine. The bed was made up with the clean sheets on it.
Man, who did that?
My husband did it. You did it. That was one of the things you did.
Hercules.
So that made me feel loved as opposed to, and there are so many things that you do throughout the week, but that just really warmed my heart because I'm like trying to think, okay, these are the things I need to do when I get back home, so I can still be able to chill out and not be still up doing stuff.
What made you feel distant this week?
What made me feel distant this week?
You were in the bed a couple of days.
Well, because I was experiencing vertigo, but that didn't make me feel
Didn't make you feel distant from me? Was I attentive?
You were very attentive. You left me alone when I said leave. Well, I didn't say leave me alone, but so what made you feel loved this week?
What made me feel loved this week? I guess we can talk about it on this podcast. You loving on me made me feel loved on. You took the intentionality to come and to give me intimacy and touch because that's one of my love languages, and you consistently did that this week. Even when you wasn't feeling 100%. And then the night where you really weren't feeling it, we just kind of held each other. That made me feel love. And I guess what made me feel distant this week, I have to keep it 100, when I was ready to cuddle with you and Netflix and chill, and you said, oh, I forgot Jordan wants me to take his hair down. And I'm like, this grown joker in my house taking up my date night time. But it really turned out good because we, all three of us, ended up watching that new Netflix Kung Fu movie, which is pretty dope. And you got done fast, and then you came back to me. But, those are the kind of... I'm spoiled rotten. But those are the kind of real conversations that some folk don't have. Some people will feel like, oh, wow, she's letting down my son's hair. I'm going to do something else. And then that turns into... more distance because you never talk about how you felt. You see how that can happen?
Yeah,
people get in those patterns where they keep getting offended, and next thing you know, they're just drifting apart. And that's where divorce starts. Divorce starts with the drift. Divorce starts when you're not talking.
Yeah.
And I think it's John Gottman that says that when couples start turning away from each other, that begins the wedge of separation and divorce. We don't want to turn away. So we talked about fighting fair. Couples are going to have fights. They're going to have disagreements. The difference is healthy couples fight for each other, not against each other. Does that make sense? And so the Apostle Paul said in Ephesians 4:26, in your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you're angry. And there's a D word that you and I said we were not going to mention.
Don't throw around the D word when you get angry or you get frustrated. Say, well, I just want a divorce. Let's just get a divorce. No, that's not going to settle anything by saying divorce in an argument, because that really plants those seeds of fear, and not safety. Like, okay, if I have a loving disagreement with you and you throw up each time we have a discussion, the D word, that's gonna make me feel unsafe, where I'm not wanting to share that 100%.
The power of life and death is in the tongue. When you're constantly threatening with divorce, it does not set well. It's sowing bad seeds, and you don't ever want to even speak that. Something funny came to mind as we were talking. I'm gonna see if you remember this. We went to Florida, to Jacksonville, and I'm not gonna call the bishop's name, but he said if he came in and saw his wife in the bed with another man, he would take a picture and show it to her and say, or study the picture and say, maybe I'm doing something wrong. What's going on? Because I'm not gonna leave her. I want to know what I'm doing wrong. Now that's drastic.
And what's funny about that?
It ain't funny,
right.
But it's like, yeah, I don't think you really mean that. But his point was he was so committed to making his marriage work, he could not conceive of his wife not being satisfied with him because he would do everything it took to make that marriage work. So that point stuck in my mind because it was drastic. Like, nah, bro, I don't know too many people is going to catch their spouse in bed and not put paws on somebody. But the point was he wants to do whatever it takes to make that work. And we don't have to go to that extreme. But do you think married couples actually talk about the things that they really want in their marriage, or do they have a tendency to just keep stuffing it?
Keeping it real, I think most married couples keep stuffing it. And they think through osmosis that it's going to work. And then you're 39 years into it and you're still bickering over something that should have been resolved in year 2 of the marriage.
But instead they kept sweeping it under the rug.
They keep sweeping it under the rug, not giving their true heart. But also being able to talk with your spouse 100%, that comes with maturity and trust. And also being able to use your words, not using words that are not descriptive, words that you have to guess what the other person is saying. Say exactly what it is. You can say what you need to say without being mean or hurtful. You know what hurts your spouse.
Yeah.
So you don't have to tear your spouse down to get your point across. Just discuss it in a loving manner.
I'm reading a book now called Calling Out versus Calling In. And the author states that many times when we're angry or upset at someone, we want to call them out, want to put them on blast. Get on Facebook. Can you believe such and such did such and such? Instead of calling that person in and talking with that person. And that's what real love looks like, is calling in, not calling out. You never want to put your spouse in a place where they cannot de-escalate the situation. Calling your spouse out in front of other people is a no-no. It's a cardinal no-no. You don't call your spouse out in front of mixed company. You always want to do it in peace. As a matter of fact, if you feel your anger escalating or getting out of control when y'all are talking, you may want to come up with a code for each other, like, hey, let's pause for the cause. Let's take a timeout. Our emotions are getting the best of us. I'm ready to go get me a coffee. I'm going to go take a walk in the park. Let's finish this conversation, but it's not productive to be yelling and cussing each other out. Let's take a pause. What do you think about that?
Oh, I agree. That may be a lot of words during the, you may come up with a signal like, my heart is racing. Let's take a beat. Or, whatever is going to work for you as a couple. I think deciding what that will be, like pausing for peace, like you said, or pause for the cause. Those are some good things to really put into practice. Yeah.
Well, here's another thing that will help y'all to divorce-proof your marriage, and that is to prioritize intimacy, sexual and spiritual. That's the elephant in the living room, right? Because there's a trend that's going around where there are a lot of sexless marriages. People are not being as intimate as they once were. And whenever you do that, you leave room for the enemy to get in. Have you seen that? Have you heard that a lot in some of our sessions?
Yeah, there are a lot of couples who are now like roommates and, not lovers. And unfortunately, one would say they okay with it, but I really don't believe that they're okay with it.
We believe that sex is the glue that keeps a marriage healthy. It is the thing that cements, because when we are intimate, it is the souls connecting. It's not just a physical act. It's a spiritual act. Sex is a spiritual act. Would you agree?
I agree.
And it's, you're sharing soul and spirit and emotions, and all of those things are intertwined. And when you are inside of each other, when you're connected to each other, there is a spiritual connection that transcends time and space. And I think that's why it's so important that couples continue to bond through intimacy. It has to be what?
It has to be a discipline and not a reaction.
Wow.
Like sex needs to, I would hate to say it, but it almost needs, it needs to be routine without it being rudimentary.
Oh, come on now.
Okay. So it needs to be a part of your lifestyle.
Do you brush your teeth every day?
Twice a day. The first one, you brush, what the dentist say, you brush it.
You brush your teeth in the morning to keep your teeth.
No, you brush your teeth in the morning so that you can keep your friends. You brush your teeth at night so that you can keep your teeth.
Brush your breath to keep your friends
Yes.
in the morning, and brush your teeth at night to keep your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have sex to keep that connection, and you have to have sex also to bond, to feel loved, to feel a connection. Sex is so important. It is a spiritual force. And 1 Corinthians 7:5 says this: do not deprive one another except by mutual consent. And that mutual consent is like the other night when you weren't feeling well, and you're like, can we just cuddle each other? Or we may be fasting. There's something going on in the ministry where we want to take a pause. But even Paul says, even with that, don't take too long, because you give the devil a foothold. When you're not giving your spouse sex, other people smell it on them. They smell the lack of intimacy. And they're meeting them at the water cooler. They're meeting them in the gym. They're pulling up at the stoplight. They're blowing their horn. They're giving them compliments. And when there's a void in there, when you don't send your husband to work with an empty sack and a full belly, you're opening up room for the enemy. When you send your wife to work and she's emotionally starved because you haven't given her a compliment, you coming in like McGruff, the crime dog, barking about what's for dinner. You open her up for vulnerability, for some man to say, "Oh, you look beautiful today." Has anybody ever told you you're beautiful? Of course, some women will see through that, see that as game. But if you're starved, even old food looks good.
Yeah.
That's why you should never go to the grocery store hungry.
Never, ever.
And you should never go to work horny. You should take care of each other at home. You got to make, like my wife said, make intimacy a discipline, not just a reaction. Don't wait until you're in the mood. You got to create the mood. Oh, that is so key. Let's talk about that. Don't just wait till you're in the mood. A lot of people, what happens in marriage is that when you've been together for a long time and you get stuck in those routines, what happens is that you start taking each other for granted, and you're thinking, well, I don't have the desire for sex.
Well, let's, while you were talking, let's back up. There are some couples who weaponize sex. That
What's that mean?
That they use it as a treat. Like when your spouse is doing good, or if he gets, I'm not giving him none. You ration out the intimacy, as opposed to, like we're saying, that you need to make it part of your marriage lifestyle. When you weaponize or pass out intimacy and sex as a treat, that there is no way to safely build that safe connection between one another, because you're like, well, if I'm stepping on eggshells today, or she's gonna be mad at me, or he's gonna be mad at me, and so he's not gonna be intimate with me tonight, or I forgot to do such and such, so I know she's not gonna be intimate with me tonight, so I'm just gonna stay up and watch the 99 things of basketball or whatever the sport is. So We need to, just as we've been saying, make it a discipline in marriage.
Let's go. I love that. I love that analogy. Let's dig into it a little bit.
Okay.
You talked about we treat it like a treat. If he does good, I'm gonna give him a treat. We have a dog, right? Nibby. When do you give Nibby treats?
Well, see, Nibby is very special, and Nibby doesn't like just regular treats. So, if she's eaten all of her breakfast food, and maybe in the middle of the day, but she's easy.
So she's eating her food. Then you give her a treat on top of what she's already eaten.
Later on in the day.
Come on, you just said something. So starving your spouse and weaponizing sex, if they're good, is like saying to the dog, I'm not going to give you anything to eat. I'm going to give you a treat after you give the dog a treat after they eat their main meal. But you're telling your spouse, I'm not going to give you your main meal until you do good.
Okay.
Because love and intimacy is a main meal. It's not a snack.
Okay.
Ooh, good
Okay.
God Almighty. That's it. That's the problem. Many of us are treating sex like it's a snack
Okay.
when
I
it's
see
the
it.
meal.
Okay.
It's not a snack, y'all. It's not. It is necessary for the well-being of your marriage. Paul, the Apostle Paul says, do not deny each other except by mutual consent. This is an everyday thing. You brush your teeth every day. Hopefully you wash your behind every day. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you eat your food every day. Then why aren't you being intimate every day? And
Now-
watch this. Sex doesn't always mean penetration.
Right. I was gonna say.
I know you. I know you well. Sex is not always penetration. Sometimes sex is just hold me. Sometimes sex is can we cuddle. Sometimes sex is can we pleasure each other. You know, just by touching each other. It does not mean penetration. It doesn't mean orgasm, but it does mean connection.
Yeah.
You feel me?
I got you.
And so, listen, y'all need to schedule a sacred touch night once a week.
Okay.
Once a week. Light some candles, play some slow jam music, some jazz music, no agenda. Oh, that sounds so good. Everybody say no agenda. Type that in the comments.
No agenda.
Sometimes, man, I want to walk in the bedroom, babe, and you got the candles lit, you got the music playing, you know, you got on your lingerie, and you're just sitting up in the middle of the bed, and you're like, come here, boy. I just want you to come in the bedroom, and I just want to explore you tonight. I'm getting loose with it. I just want to explore you tonight. I want you to touch every crevice of my body, and just take your time. That's what it's about. It's about exploration. It's not allowing curiosity to die. Don't let exploration die. Y'all think y'all know everything it is to know about each other because you've been together a long time, but there's still something else to learn.
And it's when you said it's about exploration, it's also about intentionality. You know, so lighting the candles, you know, having the piece of lingerie on, even if it's on for 3.2 seconds, you know, so making sure that you are creating that ambiance.
Do you feel sexier when you put on lingerie?
I do.
What does it make you feel like?
I don't know, because, you know, sometimes my birthday suit just feels like I have on jogging clothes. You know, because it's not special. It's not rubbing up against, you know, the soft.
It's special to me.
Oh, I'm glad it's special to you. And that's all that matters. It really does. You ask me about me.
But no, it makes you feel, when you put on lingerie, it makes you feel more feminine,
Oh,
more womanly.
definitely. Yes. You know, the very soft fabric, you know, depending on what it is, if it's a teddy or, you know, or even if it's just one of his old big t-shirts and you done cut it up a little bit, you know, so.
It is something mysterious, like that. It does something to the mind when you're like, I can see the print of her breast through that satin material, or I can lift up that little flap right there on that baby doll dress and see her booty cheek. Anyway, those things add to it. So that little extra effort you put into it makes a difference. Also, we want to say this, that you have to take time to be spiritually naked as well. My wife she tells me, babe, can you pray for us tonight? And before we go to sleep, I try to lead us in prayer before we go to sleep. In the mornings, we say a prayer when we wake up, because spiritual intimacy is just as important as physical intimacy. So we're going to be teaching about that at our workshop on June 7th for the Love Without Limits.
Conference.
Please sign up. If you have not signed up, please go sign up tonight and be a part of that conference. But also, we have to stay accountable by surrounding our marriage with wisdom. Right?
Right.
So, babe, what question do you have for them tonight as relates to surrounding themselves with wisdom?
Well, when you say that, my question is, who's pouring into your marriage? Do you have, you need to have other couples who are trying to stay married. You guys are both on the same path of staying married, not someone who's going to tell you when you go to a friend in confidence about something that's going on, that's going to encourage you to leave, or, be one of those friend girls that's like never speaks life into you and your marriage.
I think that's why I love our group with Naked and Unashamed. We've got about 16 couples eating. What I say?
Naked Unashamed.
Naked Unashamed Eden Circle.
Yes.
I love Eden Circle, which is a part of our Naked and Unashamed marriage ministry. But these 16 couples, we've been walking with them for about a year, y'all. And we meet with them via Zoom. They come over to our home. We've taught them workshops on erotic touch. We've been on vacation together. And we were just remarking how the other day, I remember one particular couple, when the husband first got on the Zoom, he was just kind of sitting off in the cut like, my wife made me come. Now he is leading the conversations. Yes. He told us the other night, he's like, thank y'all so much for being our coaches, our role models. We are so much better because we've been apart. And so that's what's important. Proverbs 15:22 says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. I think you need two things in order to grow your marriage. You need coaches and you need community. Rhonda and I are coaches. We've been trained for this. We've been certified for this. And you need community. Are you hanging with people who want to stay married? And that's what Eden Circle gives you, a group of people who are on the same page, and we're naked and unashamed, and we're talking about provocative ways to put fire back in our marriages. We're talking about tools to teach us how to work through conflict in a healthy way. All of those things are necessary. And what would you say to a couple out there that's listening, babe, who doesn't have coaches or community?
Well, if you don't have a coach or community, join ours. You can go to theedencircle.com, read more about, what we offer with our married couples, but also, go on retreats. We have retreats yearly, whether it's domestic or international. This year we have our one-day conference, which is June the 7th. You can register for that at our website, nakedandunashamedsls.com. Join, marriage groups, hang out with other married couples who are trying to stay married.
Y'all, it's possible to have the best, most fantastic, lit marriage you ever imagined. It's possible. Rhonda and I have invested in our marriage. We've been to marriage counseling. We've gone to classes together. We've gone to retreats. We've gone to conferences. We've had coaches to sit with us. And now we have trained ourselves. We've been to training and been certified because we want to be that for you. And we're bringing some of our best and brightest couple friends on June 7th to Memphis to help facilitate and curate an environment where you can save your marriage, where you can enrich your marriage, but you got to invest in it. Let me ask you something. every year when you go get your car tuned up, your oil change, your brakes change, you do that because what? You want that car to keep running. Every year when it comes springtime, you want to keep up with your curb appeal and make sure your yard don't look like the worst yard in the neighborhood. So you put mulch down and you get the guy to come get the leaves off the yard and you cut your grass. You invest in your car. You invest in your house and your yard. Why not invest in your marriage? We're asking y'all to invest in your marriage, to divorce-proof your marriage, and come join us on June the 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Baby, tell them who is coming and what they're going to get.
I know that you guys like, well, we don't want to just hear you guys for that long, but we're fun. But we're one of the couples, but we have 4 additional couples, 5 in total. We're going to talk about, the spiritual aspect of marriage and staying spiritually naked, and that is going to be with Pastor Dan and Dee Henley. And then we're going to be talking about how to stay married and get through those times that are tough when you almost wanted to say the D word, and that is going to be with Pastor Terrell and Tiffany Munger.
Yeah, they actually almost signed papers, divorce papers, and God supernaturally intervened. And they have a powerful testimony they're going to be sharing. And then we have Pastor Marion and Tori Thomas, who are going to be talking about how to be emotionally naked. How do you ask for what you really, how do you make yourself vulnerable enough to say when you're not doing good and when your marriage is in a rut and you want more? They're going to teach you how to do that. And then our friends from church, Dr. Derek Payne and Darkest Payne, are going to be teaching how to make that bag together. Somebody say, get that bag. We want to get that bag together. And it's been proven that couples are far more apt to be financially prosperous than people who are single. And so they're going to show you ways, through their professional occupations, their side hustles, if you will, their passions that they have monetized. They have learned to get the bag. So all of that is going to be presented on June the 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And lunch will be served. And it's all for the low price of $199 per couple. 5 workshops, lunch. Listen, your marriage deserves it. And I need you to sign up today. Space is limited. It's going to sell out. And we want you to come be a part of that. But all of this, babe, has been about helping couples understand how to divorce-proof their marriage.
Absolutely, yes.
We believe that God wants you to stay married. We believe that you can survive whatever it is that you've gone through. There is nothing so hard in your marriage that you and God cannot figure it out together. Where there's hurt, there's forgiveness. Where there's brokenness, there's healing. And we want that for you more than life itself. So please, my brothers and sisters, if this has blessed you, if you got some tips and tools out of this, would you do us a favor? Leave a comment tonight. Leave a comment for us right there. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube podcast, I want you to subscribe tonight. And if you got some seriously dating friends or married couple friends, do us a favor. Share this with them. Send it to them right now. Anything else you want to say to the couples before we leave?
No. One thing. So if you're ready, to take your marriage to the next level, conferences are not, and retreats are not from when your marriage is in trouble. It's to get the tools that's needed for when those times come. So please, again, join us on June the 7th, Naked and Unashamed SLS.com.
Oh, don't forget, we've got this coming Sunday.
That's right.
This coming Sunday.
May 18th.
Coming Sunday, May 18th.
Yes.
We have Soul Cafe Sweet Talk. We have Sweet Talk in the Soul Cafe, and it's called Baywatch, right? We want you to come with your bae, with your boo thing, and we're going to have some dessert. We're going to have some jazz music, and it's only $20. It's only $20
per couple.
Where can you go to have a good time in Memphis for $20? $20 per couple. And so we got live entertainment, we got dessert, and Rhonda and I are going to be talking about how to sweeten it up in the bedroom. And so we always have a fun time. And we always say this,
Always.
what happens in Sweet Talk
Stays in Sweet Talk.
So that's going to be this coming Sunday at 6 p.m. You can get your tickets on Eventbrite. Go to Eventbrite and get your tickets. Listen, we love you guys. You're going to make it. Rhonda and I are here for you. If you need counseling, you can call us and we'll set that up for you. We want you to make it because you have love, hope, and faith. And the greatest of these is faith. If you have faith, you can make it. We love you guys. And until next time, stay naked and stay unashamed. See you next time.